Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. And mostly happy 2026. I think since this is probably the first time that we are meeting, I can say Happy New Year. And my name is Anneli Ndlovu, and I have the pleasure of being the facilitator for today's webinar. I am a good friend, I would say family member now, of Proudly South African. I have had the pleasure of being involved in quite a few of their webinars. And the reason why I am always ready and willing to put my hand up to work with them is just for who Proudly South African is, what Proudly South African stands for. You know, just as the name says, Proudly South African. So it's for us to actually take pride in our local products. It's for us to take pride in our local services. It's for us to take pride in this is what we are able to dream of as South Africans. This is what we are able to actually achieve as South Africans. Yeah, that's why I'm saying like it's always just a willingness from my side to say, I'm going to come on board, I'm going to play my part. And having the speakers who are going to share their stories with us, they're doing the same thing. It's national duty, as we should see it, that we are helping move the Proudly South African brand forward. But not just that, we are helping move what Proudly South African stands for, you know, is to buy local and to improve poverty, improve inequality, and all these social ills that we face. But we have someone who is from Proudly South African, Alicia Logan, who is going to tell us just a bit more about who Proudly South African is. And then once Alicia is done with just explaining to us and maybe sharing a video and sharing more of who Proudly South African is, in case this is the first time that you are engaging with us, I will then get to have the pleasure of introducing the speakers, of being in conversation with them, hearing their stories. And as our guests, you also have an opportunity to send your questions on the chat, and we will then ask our speakers to answer the questions that you have. So this is not just a Anele and the speakers platform. It's an Anele, it's the speakers, and it's our guests who will be listening in platform. It's for all of us to share our inputs. It's for all of us to share our ideas, for all of us to learn from each other. Alicia, over to you.
Amelia, thank you so much for that very warm introduction. Good morning, colleagues. It's so lovely to be in your company this morning. I am going to take you through just, a very concise presentation on who Proudly South African is and what it is that we, what our mandate is and how we are able to assist you as a company, in your endeavors. I think it's so important because there's a lot of mixed understanding of what Proudly South African does and what our mandate is. So I think I'm going to focus on that as well as how one can become a member and the associated benefits. I just want to share my screen. Anelia, before I get into it, I just want to know, I am audible and you're able to see my screen, right? Thank you. Okay, colleagues, look, Proudly South African is the country's national buy local campaign. When I say national buy local campaign, I mean that we are mandated as a campaign to advocate for the public sector, the private sector, as well as the general consumer to make a local purchasing decision. And I think this is so important because, localization, there's a need for localization. And very, very quickly, I'm going to take you through the need for localization. So not just in South Africa, but the world over, when people or when countries localize, the aim of this is to retain jobs and to create jobs. I don't have to tell you that South Africa has a job crisis, an unemployment crisis. And in order to retain the current jobs and create much needed new jobs, we must make sure that, we localize, because that is where, business growth, access to market happens. Then, of course, skills development, economic development. The more we localize, the more we are able to create jobs here in the South African market, and we are able to give back to the economy and grow the economy by means of employing people, and growing businesses. So, of course, empowerment, improved living standards. We do come from a socio-political past that requires that we change that and we empower. And there's a reason for things like BE and women empowerment and women in business, etc. So it really is to right to right the wrongs of the past, but also to create an inclusive economy. And then, of course, we look into infrastructure development, increasing the GDP, and making sure that there's a balance in the import-export trade. So that, in a nutshell, is really what localization is after. It really is after to create an economy that is sustainable, that is self-sufficient, and an environment where inclusivity of gender, of race, of people, of people within the country can be nurtured, can be grown, and in turn we give back to the economy and grow our own people. Just very quickly, Proudly South African, as I said, is the country's national buy local campaign, and we were formed by NEDLAC, and we are funded by the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. We are guided by 4 sectors in terms of our mandate. That is preferential procurement, education, in the public sector. So we want the public sector, we are urging government in all of their procurement matters to please consider buying local. Then, of course, there's consumer education in the private sector, whereby we say this is a bottle of water. It has a logo on it. Please look for that logo, read the labels, and make that local purchasing decision. Consumer education in the general public, that is exactly what we're saying. We are educating consumers to look for the Proudly South African logo, to know that those companies are properly vetted, and what it is that you are buying is something local and you're giving back to your economy. And then we have a database of locally made products and services, whereby we say that, you are expected to buy local, so that we can have locally manufactured product on the shelves of retail stores, wholesale stores, and even in B2B interactions. So that's how we are guided. Then, of course, I'm going to leave all of that, and I'm going to go straight into Proudly South African membership. Why are we a membership-based campaign? I think it's important to note that the logo that you see at the bottom of your screen, it is a registered trademark, and that registered trademark denotes quality and confirms local, production or local content. Now, in order for us to allow you, as a company, the use of that logo, we need to make sure that you are vetted against 4 key criteria. I will go into it now, but because we need to vet you, we therefore thought it is best to offer you membership, so that you are using the logo legally, compliantly, and aligned to our ethos, as well as whereby we are able to look at your product, to look at your service, and help you with a multitude of benefits, because you are a member, and it is then our duty to make sure our members grow, sustain, and develop. So how do we bring, companies in as member companies? We are guided here again by 4 key criteria. And those 4 key criteria are local content, quality, environmental standards, and fair labor practices. Now, local content is the most important. And why do I say that? We are a buy local campaign. We've always said buy local to create jobs. It is only in recent years we say loved here, made here, but it doesn't take away from the fact that our mandate is to create jobs in the local market. So local content is so important. You cannot claim to be a local manufacturer if you do not assist by manufacturing product here in South Africa. So local content, very important. Quality, very important. Okay, environmental standards, very important, and fair labor practices, very important. Now, let me get into, okay, I'm going to go away from this, sorry, and I'm going to say our benefits. Sorry, I'm losing. Why is it gone off? Sorry. Colleagues, my sincere apologies. My stuff has just dropped completely. Please just give me a minute.
Hi, everyone. I think since Alicia is having a bit of technical issues, we will give her just a moment, maybe for her and the team to have a look at what is going on. But I do feel that she was able to share quite a bit of information, very relevant information in terms of who Proudly South African is and what their purpose is, and also how you can become a member. Um, if we do have any questions, maybe related to what she had shared or what she was going to share, please do add the questions to the chat and we will get her to then join us after our speakers so that she is able to then answer any questions that you would have had that maybe she didn't get into answering based on the technical difficulties. So we're going to move on to our speakers. I'm very excited for all of them, just to hear what their stories are, what their plans and goals and dreams for 2026 is. And as our theme for this webinar says, Kickstart 2026, map your local success, plan today, prosper tomorrow. And as I was looking at this, I was like, we shouldn't just say map your local success because we want to take our local brands across the borders. So let's say map your success, so that proudly South African logo gets to be seen and engaged with, and people benefited from even other countries and not just our own country. And the first speaker who is going to share his story with us is Sheldon Tatchell. Please, Sheldon, can you let me know how you say your surname? Robin did try and help me, but I'm still not getting it right. Apologies about that. So Sheldon is going to speak on from chair to chain, growing a local business brand in 2026. How we're going to do his part is in a form of a Q&A between him and I. Just a few questions, about 3 questions, based on this title of from chair to chain. And I follow Sheldon on LinkedIn. So I have been seeing a lot of the great work that he has been doing, and we will talk a bit more about that. Sheldon, can we have you join us on screen? Okay, I think we'll just give Sheldon a few moments.
Anele?
Yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to offer apologies.
Yes,
IT,
Alicia, I just saw your message. Please go
IT
ahead.
has just put me back. Everything went blank, even the laptop. So, um, do you want me to go back, or what do you prefer?
Can we wait to see if Sheldon will join us in the next minute?
Sure, no problem.
Because I think because we're working on a time
Oh,
for
there's
Eastern
Sheldon
time.
here.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll come.
I Yes. Please just
Thank you.
be on standby and then we'll see. If he doesn't join in about a minute or so, then we'll go back to you, Alicia.
I see Sheldon on.
Okay. Can Sheldon please join us on video?
Video is on. Good
Oh,
morning.
there we are. Hi, how are
Yes.
you?
Good in yourself, Anele.
Good, good, good.
Good.
Thank you so much for
Yes.
joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. So, as I mentioned when I was introducing you, that I follow you on LinkedIn, and there's a post that you shared, I think it was a few weeks ago, about vision, and and I commented on that to say I'm also very big on vision board and things like that. So I want to know, just based on you believing in having a vision, was Legends Barber something that you had a vision of even as a child, as a teen, as a young adult? Did you always want to be in business? And then specifically, did you want to be in this kind of business? Or did you stumble across it?
Thank you. Thank you very much for that comment, Anele. And thanks a lot for having me on the show. I think it's such a pleasure being able to represent proudly South Africa and basically to represent what's possible if dreams are aligned and things work out. And I think that according to, I mean, my journey was a kid at the age of 14 years old, just learning exactly uh, how to solve for the crisis that we face within our country, which is unemployment. And at that particular time, both my parents weren't working, and I saw barbering as a way to escape this reality, and I saw that the barbers in the community always had some pocket change on them, and I said, you know what, maybe this is something I could do, and whilst learning, so how I used to learn from them is basically visiting different barbers within my area, and going to them and seeing exactly the methods that they use. My friend had a clipper, and I asked him if I could borrow his clipper and practice on school kids. One thing led to the next, and obviously the barber that I went to chased me away many times because they saw me as a threat, and I just returned with a bottle of Coring as a bribe for my next lesson. But that was the simplest way for me to learn something that I loved at the time. And like you said, it's literally something that eventually became such a passion project because now you are making a difference and you're able to solve for the crisis what we face within our country.
I thank you for that. I love how, as you know, as young as 14, you already identified there is a crisis here, as close as at home, but also in the broader community. And what is it that I can do to solve that? And that like passion or vision, I'd say, to solve a problem then has, how long has Legends been around for? I mean, years and years. And it's part of our culture now. Like when we think
Yes.
about hairdressing, barber, you're the first name that comes up.
Yeah, no, we're really fortunate, and I mean, it's such, we're so grateful to be able to be recognized as the go-to barber for many youngsters as well. I think just looking at the ages of the youth that's joining our space. A few weeks ago, we opened a store at a school in Stadiums, a private school, and you wouldn't imagine the queues of youngsters that are lining up there just to get haircuts before they go to school. So I think in that sense, we are really grateful for the journey, and we've been able to scale this business. Like you'll know the story, is being able to start out with one store back in. So we opened our first store back in 2011. We closed down, but we relaunched in 2014. And when we relaunched, the goal was to open 5 stores in 5 years. And God just has a different way of just working with you, because what you think that your limit is 5 stores, and God shows you something much more greater. And today we're standing on 81 stores in 5 different countries.
Wow.
Yes.
Can I ask, what were your learnings from the first store that you opened in 2011 and then having to close down? And then it took 3 years to then say, we're going to open again and with 5 stores. What did you learn, if I can call it failure or whatever that didn't work the first time around, but that actually gave you the oomph to say, we're going back
Yes.
in and we're not only having one store, we're going to open 5.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple of learnings that you can take into account. I think first and foremost, you have to put all your eggs in one basket. I think many of the times as entrepreneurs, we always tend to have plan Bs and plan Cs and plan Ds, and 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 because it is, I definitely understand that at that particular point in time, I wasn't as confident as I was when I relaunched in 2014, because of also the lessons that I learned. So first and foremost, I think one of the major lessons is put all your eggs in one basket and make sure that you actually strive at this as much as possible. The next thing is understanding the business side of what you're doing. I think most of the times as entrepreneurs, you don't understand, how the craftsmanship works. You know exactly how to cut hair. You know exactly how to make this product. But the business side of it is compr comprises of different elements, whether it is accounting, whether it's compliance, whether it's administration, whether it is all of these other elements that actually makes the business to function. And those elements enables the business to scale. And I think if you're able to at least find and continuously to invest in yourself as an entrepreneur, because Andele, this I was speaking at one event, and people were saying yes, entrepreneurs can just be dropouts, and they can just start something from scratch, and voila, there you go. And I definitely disagree with that. I think entrepreneurs need to educate themselves around business, need to educate themselves around what they're doing, because you can only grow to the level of your capacity. And once you're able to build and invest within yourself, guess what happens? Your business can also scale to the next level.
And we do know that you are growing yourself and your education, and you're going to one of the best schools, universities in the world. And I think it speaks to that point of you need to invest in yourself. You need to invest in yourself. And investing in yourself then invests in your business and your brand. Let's talk about just the brand element part of Legends. Did you, when you went back into business in 2014 and you said you're opening these 5 stores, and like you said, God had a totally different plan for you and so much more happened. When you now had learned this is how we should do business, was marketing and branding one of those things to say, how are we going to stand out so that people actually come to those 5 stores and then many others that we are going to have? And how have you been able to maintain that brand equity and actually grow that brand equity?
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Such a vital question. To take it back to to when we relaunched, I understood one particular principle. A there's a verse in the Bible that says that whoever can be trusted with little can also be trusted with much. Whoever can be faithful with very little can also be faithful with much. So if you're not if you can't look after the one, who's going to trust you with the next one? So just to share with you quickly what I've done was that I ensure that that each and every customer, when we relaunch Legends, I ensure that each and every customer that walk into that particular store was happy, was satisfied, and make sure that we serve that customer to the best of our ability at that particular point in time. We also ensure that the employees, the barbers that was working in our space, that they also in the right 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 space and ensure that we love them, we serve them. You understand? You know, most of the time people think that you just have to have people in your space and they just work and they just do the work and you just sit back and you just boss people around. But it honestly doesn't work like that. You see, in our business, it works a bit different. And the type of culture that I nurture within a business is called servant leadership, where we're able to understand exactly how am I able to serve you better today. And and this is the culture that has driven the business. And basically the culture derives from the brand that we continues to build, because now people see the business in such a light. Besides the many millions of followers that we have on social media, people see Legends in such a way that these people are here to serve me. And I think that's exactly what stands out.
I totally agree. And, even the name Legends, it's kind of saying that when you walk in, you're going to be treated with the highest, service because you're coming into a Legends. Thank you. I'm going to ask you just to share maybe words of encouragement to someone who has started 2026 and they're not feeling they've started off well in terms of their business or their brand. Any words of encouragement before we let you go? And we hope that once the other speakers, you'll be able to join us later for the Q&A. But just to close off your part, what would you encourage someone who's just feeling a bit stuck with their brand, with their business, encourage them to do at this point?
Yeah, thank you, Anil. I think so I can share with you many business lessons, and I can share with you many things that obviously from a business standpoint is so critical. Yeah, I understand. I mean, like these type of elements are so important for your business. But one thing that I feel like many people need to hear this, and many people need to understand the importance of it, is basically to align yourself with the higher power, which is God. I think once you're able to align yourself with the higher power, because he's the one that controls everything and makes all things possible. As men, we can only do certain much, you understand? As men, we can only do a certain amount of things. But if you align yourself with God, he takes you on a whole new journey and takes you on a whole new level. My favorite verse in the Bible that says, Colossians 3 verse 23, it says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as you're working for God and not for men, because you know that your reward comes from above. So that means that each and every day when I get up to go to work, I'm actually going to work not for myself, not for the people around me, but I'm going to work for God, because I understand that God demands of me excellence. God demands of me a level that I need to present myself. So I think that many of the times we tend to overcomplicate things, but in all matter of things, if you align yourself spiritually with God, and if you align yourself with what he has called you to do, guess what happens? You know exactly what to do. deep down inside, you won't feel stuck. You will understand exactly where you need to go to, the people you need to call. You will know. You will understand exactly the next steps you need to take in your business to get going. So I hope this is encouraging somebody out there, and I hope we're able just to share the light for those in need.
There are many hearts and there are clapping hands. There are all these emojis that are going up. So I definitely do believe that this spoke to someone. And I think you are a perfect example of that verse to say, work for the glory of God, of your higher power, and He's going to elevate you. You know, from the one store, shut it down to the 5 to the 81. So
Yes.
thank you so much. Thank you for your time. We hope you'll be able to join us. I know you are quite busy. So we appreciate that you've taken this time to be with us. We hope you'll join us a bit later when the other speakers are also done. That was Sheldon, ladies and gentlemen. People are still excited. People are still sharing. Thank you. Thank you. We
Thank you
are
very
going
much.
to
Thank
move
you very
on.
much.
Thank you. We are going to move on to our next speaker. Um, and the topic that Johnson Serojo is going to speak on from Sonwaro Coffee is brewing local success, how a small coffee brand scales beyond borders. And I love that. I love, just as we were talking with Sheldon, that these brands start here at home, but they then go across the borders. So I am excited to hear Johnson's journey, how he started, how he's been able to scale, how he's been able to maintain, and what it is that he is planning for the business in 2026. Johnson, please join us.
Good morning, everyone. I once again thank you very much for Proudly SA for this opportunity. Yes, Sonwaro, we are coffee roastery. We are specialty coffee roastery, and started with limited funding as a business, 2018, and it was an easy ride. And after that was COVID. But one thing that is interesting was we believe that we need to grow our business and our values. We believe in quality, consistency, and community. One thing that is a drive was we did find some sort of interesting opportunities. I don't know, say challenges, opportunities. And that's why we always talk about the name and the brand and the meaning of the brand. You know, what I can advise entrepreneurs as well is build a name and that rooted identity, and build a name that resilience. There was a time where I was in a bad side of the law, where my coffee company was Afro Coffee, and I was sued by Red Bull. And it's very, very important as entrepreneurs that the name that you're bringing, or the name that you're building as a company. And yeah, the brand with a story. What is important is brands that scale carries meaning, not noise. And we've been more sustainable because it wasn't easy for us starting with that limited funding. The coffee business is not a cheap exercise. It's quite expensive to invest in coffee roastery, to invest in coffee equipment. Yes, we have discovered that most of the time the great product fail every day is because of most of the time we don't do homeworks as entrepreneurs. We failed, and we went through to the drawing board. Yes, we wanted to scale. And from my past experience in corporate, I've seen the brand failing. I've seen big brands or product winning. And one thing for sure with our challenge that we're facing, and as African brand struggling to cross borders, is it's all about believe in your product. I think most of the time you don't believe much in your product, and that limited funding, we managed to go to showcase in the world of coffee in Milan without any funding from the government. self-funded, because we believe that we can compete globally. Our product can compete. I remember when I was there, I found this gentleman, Luigi Lupi. He says to me, I mean, in Italy, you got so many coffee brands. And I say to him, yes, in South Africa, you've got so many coffee brands, that's Italian brands and other countries where I've worked for those coffee brands. There are more opportunities as long as you believe in your brands. And they're always saying that product before expansion, it's very important that you have a good product and you've got a good practice standard. And for us, being part of Proudly SA, we believe carrying the flag of South African flag, we can go globally. But again, what is important is you need to focus in having standards, in the type of business that you're in. For example, in the food industry, we believe that you need to comply with the ISO regulation, health and safety. For your product to be global, to be in China, to be Japan, wherever, you need to have an ISO certification so your product can be, which means we need to start home first, do the right thing in the business. And yes, we believe in our communities. Let the community help you to improve your brand. Most of the time we found we tend to create a brand, we have that love with the brand, but we cannot take a feedback or criticism with our product. It's very important as an interpreter to take the criticism and test the market. I think that's one thing that we always do good, because where we're positioning our brand in business and industry space and educational institution where we supply them, and how you grow the brand, it's so easy. You need to listen to what your consumers saying, what your customers saying. And if your coffee brand is not great, go back. I always find challenges with the new product brand that's coming in South Africa, and people always tell me about what you're gonna do. I mean, the coffee industry, it's overrated, and there's so many coffee brands in South Africa. My motivation is I'm 27 years in the industry. I started as a cleaner. I started as a coffee roastery. I started as nobody, but today I know the whole logistics of the brand and where to source the product. It's all about building local success, and it will be global. And one thing that what we found is we always believe that standard operation procedure, not personality over personality. Sometimes we tend to be the face of the brand instead of the brand be the face. What I can share with you today, I'm shooting Starbucks Global. I'm a liquid stylist. And what I've learned in these years of working with the client is I've never seen the owner of the product. I always seen the product. I think that's one thing that is sort of affecting us as a small business. And financial disciplines, it's one thing that we always not focusing the business. We're overspending money that we don't have. And you need to start small. That's what is very, very important. Focus in your brand, focus in your packaging. And they're always saying, if you cannot repeat, you cannot scale. The one thing that we're proud of as well, and when people ask me, how you going to make it, because you got so many coffee brands out there, our social responsibility strategy, where with our 3%, we empower disadvantaged young women with free coffee training, people with disability, we offer them free coffee training, and hearing aids as well, the campaign that we're running as a brand. I think that's where we are different with others. And our focus this year of scaling and opening, we call it Women in Coffee, where we'll be starting our brand. The first shop will be opening, where we're given the opportunity by Richie's brand. We'll be starting our coffee shop at Richie's head office. And the Women in Coffee is to empower women in the coffee industry. One thing that was motivating me, when you go to a coffee farm, you start realizing that those women are the one who's picking the coffee. Each and every cup of coffee or bean that we drink was picked by women. And those are the opportunities as a brand that our belief and mythos that we need to empower, work with our community. And again, preparing yourself for cross-border. it's all about brand clarity, export readiness, pricing, reliable supply chain. Partnership is very, very, very important because, again, brand consistency is very important. We always believe that non-negotiables are taste, visual, and values in our product, because you need to be proud of your brand. You need to be able to be competitive market. But again, it's not only about your brand, it's about partnership that we believe as Sonwaro, that we want to be global. We've partnered with Digit, printing companies based in South Africa, and they do packaging for different companies here in South Africa. And we always believe that your packaging, your branding needs to speak, not your face, you know. And those are the things that we believe in, partnership and collaboration as well. We have partnered again with a visual artist, Kalipa, where when we went to Milan, we were launching we called it a coffee mural, 273 coffee bags, and 3 meter by 2 meter was one of the first coffee mural in the world. It's coffee bags printed with the image, that the painting that we bought from Kalipa. Yes, we believe that, like, we need to work. There's so many opportunities with local artists, painters, that you can able to use it for your product. Yes, when we talk about scaling, it says what is not scaling. Sometimes we are everywhere as entrepreneurs, and we believe that we started that way. We were all over, you know. Yeah, we were all over. We didn't know what we want. We got so many ideas. We got so many product with us, product offering, and we started saying we need to downscale, we need to focus. And what I've learned was signal to noise ratio. That what is our signal into the brand, and what is the main focus. You know, someone has given an example about Steve Jobs. Says he used to have 80% signal, 20% noise. Elon Musk was 100% signal. And that's where we discovered that as a small brands, when we're all over, you use the whole day not expanding or coming with ideas. It's a challenge. No, scaling your brand or building your brand, it's all about discipline. It's very, very important to be disciplined as an entrepreneur. Mistakes that we made, we're saying expanding too early, cash flow pressure, doing everything about ourselves. They're always saying that if you cannot have someone to replace you in a brand, you're not running a business. You know, you just you're an entrepreneur who's working for yourself, and we believe that we need to be able to empower others so the brand can able to grow. And I think there's one thing that is a challenge to us as a small business. And we're always saying Sonwaro is going, we want to be global, we want to be international. That's why we've partnered with a Specialty Coffee Association of America and Europe. We offer the whole coffee diploma, which is international accredited. And again, expanding our factory with the same product, you know, because we need able to deliver to our clients, because we serve different clients, including the franchising that will be opening. We cannot just open a brand tomorrow and we don't have partners. That's where we've partnered with Riches, where you can get most of their pastries from them. It's a global recognized manufacturing, pastry, bakery. And those are the things that, yes, you can have a coffee brand, but you need someone who can partner with. It's very, very important for running to run a successful business. And yes, one of the lessons for small brand, you're also saying, focus beats funding, and the system beats talent, and purpose beats marketing. I've been working with Publicis, the marketing agency. They've given us this opportunity as a brand, you know, being a food stylist and working with different product through international brand, Switzerland's brand. That's where I've learned that there's more things to do as entrepreneurs in South Africa. And we need to stay focused. I think the one thing that we're all over, and you want to compete with the big giants. And yeah, we need to make sure that they're saying you don't scale by becoming bigger, you scale by becoming clear. You need to have a clear message. You know, wherever you go, you see all those billboards, there's a clear message. As I said, small business, we're all over. I think that's one advice that I can share with other entrepreneurs. Yes, as a coffee company, the market, it's not easy. The pricing of the coffee is too expensive, and a breakthrough into your product in the shelf in retails, it can be a challenge. But now by us with a franchise, with my 15 years experience working in one of the biggest franchises in South Africa, and again, you cannot start a business tomorrow, says, after my university, I start my business, I'm an entrepreneur. You need to pay a school fees. You need to go and work. You need to go and grind for you to build a brand.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I see people are also loving what you shared. There are a lot of hand claps, hearts, and everything. Thank you so much, Johnson. I just want to share a few notes that I just jotted down from what you were sharing, you know, that brands that scale carry meaning and not noise. Do your homework as an entrepreneur, believe in your products, comply with the law and regulations, let your community help you to create your brand. To grow your brand, you need to listen. Start small. If you can't repeat, you can't scale. Empower women, empower your communities. Partnerships and brand consistency help you scale. Your brand needs to speak for itself. And lastly, the point I have is discipline is critical to scaling your brand. Thank you. And there's a comment that I just quickly want to read. From Shibombi Baloy, it says, I'm so happy to see you here, Johnson. I met you at the South African Export Symposium. You have the best coffee I've ever tasted. So there's something that you're doing right. People you have the best coffee that they've ever tasted. Thank you. We will do a Q&A a bit later with you, but we really appreciate what you have shared with us so far. We will now move on to our third speaker. And there, I've been practicing this name, so I hope I get it right. Our next speaker is Tswai Abdul Jami from Cliff Cafe, and Tswai's topic is From Vision to Viability, How Cliff Cafe Builds a Sustainable Local Business.
Hey, thank God it's Friday. Hello, Anele.
Hi. We
How are
can't
you?
see you. We're seeing you in silhouette.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering because it's flickering. I was not sure whether it's on my side only or it's a generic thing that is happening to everyone. Yeah,
I think it's just your side.
it's
Like
my
you look
side,
like,
eh?
yeah, it's like you have been drawn like an animation kind of.
Yeah, but maybe let me just find out something. Hello?
But we can hear you clearly. It's just the visual is not great.
Oh, yes. So I'm just gonna let me just wait for it to come back so that maybe I do away with the video and we just stick to the audio.
That's fine. We would have loved to have seen your
right.
face, but I think what the message is what is important.
Believe me, you are not missing out on, anything. Yeah, all right. Okay, maybe let me just get into it, eh?
Yes, please.
All right, no, cool stuff. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Let me just give a bit of a background in terms of who I am and how I relate to Cliff Cafe. So I'm Tswai Abdul Jami. So I'm part of the Cliff Cafe team. But then the founder and the owner of Cliff Cafe, it is actually Clifford Mashishimane. So the Cliff, short for Clifford. That's basically how we get then Cliff Cafe. So let's maybe start off. When you speak about vision, you always have to locate it. There's somebody who has to be assaulted by the light bulb moment. So that's the visionary. And in this case, it's Clifford, who unfortunately he's out of the country now. So we thought that he would be able to do the presentation, but then he asked me to stand in on his behalf. So one thing is that we've been on this journey together, even from its founding inspiration. I was there behind the scene, so he felt that I should be able to at least, represent him and, sort of share with you where the founding inspiration comes from. So now Cliff has a brother. Has a friend by the name of Aziz, who introduces him to this coffee culture. So now he gets bitten by the bug, and then now he embraces this whole coffee culture thing. Now that is years back, like a decade plus a couple of years back. Now, around 2020, well, he has also a retail background from a family business. When he passed the matric, when he went to varsity, he was also partly running, assisting his father to run the family retail business. And then at some point, they went to construction. And now this is what then happened, as it did with many other business people during the lockdown, season. So he needed to pivot to some extent. Construction is a bit slow, nothing is happening, and it also has other challenges that he was also facing, that particular construction industry. Now he goes back to this long-standing vision that he had of opening a coffee shop. So now this is now Temba, where he lives, and all of us stay here. There isn't anything of that kind. Now he establishes in 2022 the first ever coffee-themed restaurant in and around Temba. So Temba, it's like a stone throw away from Dinukeng, which is also the only Big Five safari experience in the whole of Gauteng. So then in 2022 on Africa Day, he launches then Cliff Cafe. But then the vision is that he wants to create this space. So this space, it is meant for coffee lovers who want a working space away from home. People were not, they were not, during that time, people started working from home. So a lot of them, of course, could not necessarily get a lot done when they're at home. So the coffee lovers, what do they normally do under those instances? They go to a coffee shop, they come with their laptops, and then they plug in and they do their work. So, but there's also those people who just want to grab a coffee and have a chat with a friend. So then he fancied this idea for his own township. So that's where then Cliff Cafe then moved from an idea and manifested, and then the first coffee was sold on that during that particular year, 2022. So then 3 years down the line, moving on to the 4th year, the question is then how did we build this sustainable local business? One, this is an important exercise that and a piece of advice that entrepreneurs, business people need to embrace wherever they are, that you cannot build a brand when you don't have architecture. So the first thing that you do when you want to build whether it be physical infrastructure or in this particular instance, the business construct, you need architecture. So we owe our milestone going for the 4th year now to embracing this concept of a business model. So this is what we needed to do before anything else, to put together the economic architecture of this particular entity. So now it helps us in managing, because you can imagine retails, they've got a lot of moving parts. So so what you want to do is that you just want to make life easy for yourself as an owner, as a manager. So this is exactly what we would say if we were to sum up the idea of a sustainable local business, is that in essence the business model in itself answers that question, that how do you sustain yourself financially in the long run. So I think all in all, the sweet and short of our story, it is centered around this idea of a business model, the economic architecture for a for the brand Cliff Cafe. And then I think I just want to maybe park there and allow anyone at some point who might have any question. We are more than happy to take a question. But all in all, if we're to reduce it to a single thing, it would be to this idea of a business model.
All right, thank you. That was short and sweet, but to the point. And like you said, we will take questions once our final speaker is done. But I also just did note just a few points from what you shared that I'd like to share with our guests is from what you were saying, what you started off with is, for me, it was your vision doesn't expire. This is something that Clifford had wanted to do, but it didn't happen at the time, maybe that he thought about it. But because the vision was always there, he was then able to eventually bring it to life. So your vision doesn't expire. Don't forget about what it is that you want to do and actually go for it. Vision helps to solve an issue or a problem. You can't build a brand without architecture. And that economic architecture part, I was like, that is an interesting term. It's important to have that economic architecture because it sustains the business for the long term. Thank you for that. We will definitely engage you after our final speaker in terms of questions. We will share, we'll keep reminding everyone, if you do have a question or a comment, please do write it in the chat box and we will get to the comments and the questions after our last speaker. Thank you. Can I please introduce our next speaker and our final speaker for today, uNtombenhle Katwane. She is the CEO of Afro Botanics, which is a natural skincare brand. And the topic that she will be speaking on is Rooted in Africa, Building a Beauty Brand for the Local Consumer.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Nele, how are you?
I'm good, Ntombenhle. How are you?
Yeah, Pilas, this one. It's good to be here.
Thank you for joining us. Please, the floor is yours.
All right. So I went all serious and I prepared a slideshow. So
that is
share?
perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Your skin looks amazing. Do you use your own brand?
No. So actually, I'm more a hair care brand. Yeah, so we do natural hair, skin, body. But yes, I use my own always.
Okay.
Okay, let me take it. So I've been asked to speak about how to build, I've been asked to speak how to build a brand that's rooted in Africa, essentially. And that's what we did with Afro Botanics. Afro Botanics launched in 2011, and we were able to scale our brand into a national and I can say a SADC brand where we were available in over 7 African countries, over 11,000, over 1,100 stores. And I would love to share my view on how do we build a brand in an economy that wasn't designed for us, that wasn't built for us, and it's not easy to win in the space at all. And for me, it's just understanding how even roots work. You have to really grow quiet and strong and with consistency and consistent nourishment. But more importantly, you have to speak to your and build through your community. And that's what we did. We all, I assume that most of the entrepreneurs know the definition of what a brand is. And, to add to the normal definition we usually use, I always say that African brands have an inherent burden and duty towards a country to build. We have to build a new identity, a new consciousness. We need to contribute towards that. And if you look at Africa, or South Africa in particular, the state of the economy and the brands that are big and spoken about and supported by the people tell you the real story of the people. It tells you what the people think of themselves. And this is the space I really wanted to play in as a brand, not just to provide products that people use and that they need, but to also help to tell their story and to tell and reshape the story and the thinking and the consciousness of the country, of the people, of the economy. And how did we do that? We built a credible product that really works, that answers to the needs of the people. We were consistent about it, and we were able then to build trust and an identity, and for people to repeatedly buy our brand. And there were, like, if you were to use hashtags, the 2 hashtags that we've carried on from 2013 to now, hashtag natural hair made easy, hashtag my own kind of beautiful. And that speaks to our ethos that people always, even if they try and they go try new brands, they come in flashy with more marketing budget, they come back to us because we answer to their need of them being able to take care of their natural hair easily, manage it easily, and to fall in love with their own kind of hair and not try and have their hair look like anybody else's, which was one of the questions and we got when we were starting out. A lot of people were like, will your products be able to make my hair look like Pearl Tusi's hair, or whatever American natural hair celebrity was out there? And we were like, no, our hair will be able to give you, our products will give you the best version of your hair. So you will have the best hair version of your own hair. And this was important for us because we were able to speak and answer to what people were experiencing. And that is, for me, pillar number 1 in building a strong African brand in this economy that's very hard on us, is to be truthful. That is your weapon, because we don't need to study the problem. We are the problem. We understand the problem. We experience the problem. So you will be able to craft an answer that is very specific and very particular that nobody else outside of us can be able to do. So while international brands will sell aspiration, we sell recognition, and that we see you, and that you matter. And that's when people will buy your product, because people buy how you make them feel, right? They don't just buy, what's flashy and what's trendy. If you are speaking to their lived problem, their lived reality, and you answer to it, they will definitely support you. And I can attest to that. And though you cannot not have a product that works and answers to the issue that you have highlighted for them and is plaguing them. And so I say that even though I think almost every category is a crowded category, there's hardly a category they can go into right now where they won't tell you that there's a lot of other competitors out there. So if you are strapped for cash, start with one product, one hero product. I can tell you off of the top of my hand, and at some point, Afro Botanics had over 60 products, but they are the 3 original products that we launched with that people still buy the most. Those are still our biggest sellers. And it speaks to formulation. It speaks to us answering the core issue that our people have. So, and those products have I was doing a count last year, which products sold the most and which products we should let go of this year. It's still the original 3, because that one is where we had really spent the most effort in deciding and deciphering what people want and responding to that want for the people. So if you start out with one hero product, that's really okay now. And I mean, there's many other international success stories currently happening where a brand is built out of one hero product. So you don't have to hold yourself back because you don't have a budget for 5 products, you don't have a budget for 10 products. Just get going with what you have and go for that big product, one product that really works and answers to the questions that people have. If you cannot outspend them, then outperform them. That's my motto. Number 3, your culture and your understanding of culture is what will assist you to be even more different, because at the end of the day, everyone wants to feel like they belong, that like they matter, that they're seen. And this is just the neuroscience around brands and branding. And honestly, South Africa, we still have a huge opportunity for that, because a lot of brands still speak at us, and in truth, they see us as the secondary market, and they don't speak to who you are, to who we are, to what makes us tick, to what makes us different. And so that's where the huge gap still exists. Build brands that people are able to resonate with on a very deep level, and that will be your competitive advantage that no one can take from us. And that's where we've also played as Afro Botanics. Our branding has always been around celebrating African queens. We tell the stories of the African queens, and we try and encourage our customer to aspire towards being the queen that she was made and born to be. And we do that by sharing the African stories, the African queens' stories throughout our marketing. When it comes to your distribution, it's not just about getting shelf space. It's about you being out there and connecting to people. I think that you'll hear a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of different stories. There's different opportunities. I think that right now, one of the bigger opportunities is micro distribution, where you either you get micro partners to sell for you in different, townships, suburbs. I'm seeing the network marketing route doing very well currently. The network marketing route is doing very well because it also empowers other people. It's not just you. Retail is very challenging for small businesses. If you've only got 5 or 10 products, it's very hard to be sustainable in a big shelf space, such as a ShopRite or Pick n Pay or a Dis-Chem. So find a way to use your distribution as a storytelling point, as a differentiator. And your route to market will be able to carry your brand forward, and the people will support you and carry you forward. And be consistent. Your product, every time people encounter your product, it must give them the results they got the last time. They must know that when they think natural hair, they think my own kind of beautiful Afro Botanics. When they think of their natural hair, they're thinking natural hair made easy. That's the brand I want to go to. How do I take care of my kids' natural hair? Well, Afro Botanics is all about natural hair made easy. So it's something that comes easy to people's mind and it sticks in their subconscious, and they're able to then use word of mouth to help you build your brand. But consistency, people must know that you always deliver on what you say, and the product is the same 5 years ago, or if you're going to improve, then it must be better. Otherwise, if your product fails, the performance fails, then your brand will definitely fail. And so in summary, for me, that is the rooted method is where the advantage we have, where you identify the real problem because you identify with the real person. They're not just a number or a statistic or a study. You start off with a one hero product before you branch out, and you get known by that. You build your trust in that way. We use our own culture, and we don't follow trends, and we don't become a gimmick, because when you use culture, you're actually rooted in the brand yourself. So you don't have to worry and stress about how to respond to this new marketing way. You just stick to your own path, and it works. I've seen it happen with many businesses around me. And if you don't have the ability to get into mass distribution, then go into community-led distribution. Start small, start where you live, start in your community. Obviously we have social media now, we have your website, ensure that that's working. If you have to, then get onto your Takealots and your Amazons and start where you're at and start small if you have to. And people want consistency in terms of the results of your product. And when you have those roots, then the sky's the limit in terms of how you can grow, also because you are rooted, you know who you are as a person, you know who you are as a brand, and you are not swayed by what's going on around you. You'll be able to build a formidable brand, because obviously building a brand takes a long time. We've been in the game now for 15 years. And, I would say probably after year 10, would we say we became one of the brands. When people speak about natural hair, they spoke about Afro-Botanics. So while we may not have global budgets, we have the ability to create identity and belonging and support system where people feel this belongs to them. And if you build from truth, your product will become the standard in your home country. That is what I had to share.
Thank you so much. What you had to share was great. And yeah, I have some pointers that I'd just like to share with you that I noted as you were speaking. First part, was when you were saying, be like roots, be strong, be quiet, be resilient. African brands have a duty to build Afrocentric brands that sustain our African identity, build a credible product that speaks to people. Your product and brand must be consistent. Answering to your customers' needs will help you with longevity. Your products will give you the best of what you already have. And when you were making that point is when you were saying, people ask you, if I use your products, will my hair look like someone else's hair? And you're like, no, we're going to make your hair look the best way for you. It's your hair. We're not gonna give you someone else's hair, but it will help with your hair, So I really liked that, because sometimes we look at someone and we look at products and we're like, oh, I'm gonna buy that because I'm gonna look like Untombentle. And it's like, no, I'll make you look the best of you.
Best version of you, yeah.
Yes. And then the other thing that I really liked is truth can be a strategy. Speak to people's reality. And lastly, when you use culture, you are rooted in your brand. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ntombentle. So I have a question for all the speakers, and we'll see who will answer first. But my question is, before we get to the questions from our other guests, my question is, all of you, you started your brands, some of you worked somewhere, some of you started when you were very young. How important was, not maybe how important, what kind of support did you get or not get from the people closest to you? So, Ntombentle, since you're still on the screen, maybe you can answer first. When you told them in 2011, this is what I want to do, were you faced with, yes, of course, go for it? Or are you sure there are already all these products? And this, like I'm saying, that this question is for all the speakers, because with Johnson, there's already so many coffee brands. With Sheldon also, but there are so many barbers. With Swai as well, but there are so many coffee shops or cafes. Like each of you were going into a space where there were already players in it. And so when you told people, family, friends, whoever it is, what was that response? Because sometimes I think we look at you now, you've been in business for 15 years and you have the support and you're in all these countries and you have in all these stores. But when you started, how was that support to say, actually, we believe in your brand as much as 15 years later, people really believe in your brand?
Okay, since I'm online, I'll go first. So that's why it's important to be clear and grounded in your vision, and that your vision comes from inside you, and not from what you think people will want. It must come from purpose. Like my purpose has always been consistent, whether I'm running this business or doing something else. My purpose has always been to help catalyze African identity and strengthen people's identity and self. And so, the two people who are always consistently supporting me are my husband and my firstborn child. Everybody else, at some point, my sister was like, go back to work. My mother was like, go back to work. I had people, like friends who were working for big brands. They were like, you're not going to be able to make it. But, I think one of the things that Afro Botanics had the advantage of was that we were a first mover. We were one of the first brands for natural hair in 2011. So the biggest challenge was actually not just overcoming people saying, oh, there's enough brands like that. It was also overcoming the idea that people were not convinced, especially the decision makers at retail, they were not convinced that African women want to wear their hair natural. So that was our biggest stumbling block. But in terms of support, it was always thin. It's always thin. So you have to have a very strong sense of self and belief in your vision.
Thank you. And thank you to your husband and your child, for keeping you going through these years. Otherwise, you probably would have been like, okay, maybe let me go back to work. So thank you for that. Can I ask the other speakers to please answer this question?
Okay, let me take a bite.
Okay.
All right, cool. Let's go back to that economic architecture. So the three fundamental economic problems or questions that we have to answer. One, what value do you add, or what goods and services do you want to offer? I mean, that's the first thing that you want to ask yourself as a visionary, as an entrepreneur. So number two question is that for whom are you going to provide those goods and services? Or for whom are you going to solve problems or add value? So I think it's an important question, because then if you say, for example, in our case, when we classify them, we say these are those who longed for us before we opened, those who thank us for opening, and those who would miss us if we don't open. So once you are clear for whom you are doing this, any other feedback that you get from people who say no, or who don't necessarily support you, or who don't necessarily see the vision as much as you do, because vision, as they explain, it's mental picture, and some don't necessarily get that picture. So you wouldn't necessarily concern yourself with naysayers, people who don't necessarily get it, because the second question that you ask after you decide what are you going to offer as a business, once you answer for whom are you doing this, then anybody else does not necessarily matter. And especially if you are also going to finance your own idea, because yes, you might want the buy-in from a financier who might not necessarily buy from you, but you need that person to buy into you. So those are the people that, of course, that you want to persuade and stuff like that. But all in all I'm saying is that once you are clear about who your customer is, then everything revolves around that, and business is precisely about that.
All right, thank you. There's a question for you. So before I bring Johnson in, please can you answer this question? Excuse me. It's from Sugar-Free Yolanda Gelden Hayes. How do you scale a brand with architecture and social presence without funding? How do you scale a brand with architecture and social presence without funding?
Okay. One, if we are going to scale, well, maybe let me go back to this. It sounds cliche, but it's actually quite profound. There's an expression that says, think big, start small, and grow fast, or scale fast. So if we are going to scale, I mean, a business model such as Cliff Cafe is one. that is still fundamentally relies on bricks and mortar. But in our case, for example, we used containers. Remember I said to you that Cliff Cafe comes from a construction background. So when you establish a construction site, you hire this particular, you buy these containers and stuff like that. So Cliff Cafe is actually built from those pre-loved material, those containers and stuff like that. That is its own. So it's not necessarily bricks and mortar in the technical sense. But fundamentally, our business relies on that physical space. So if you want to scale, of course, one, you have to then secure land. You have to then build. Then you have to then bring those expensive coffee machines and stuff like that and all of that. So you are either going to then finance it from those retained earnings, or you are still going to look for a particular partner who will then inject the necessary funding so that you can scale fast. So we cannot necessarily speak of the scaling without, if you want to do it with that fast pace, you want to be agile about it, then you're going to need that kind of a partner who will then inject. But there's also another model where you go the franchising route. I mean, the day we opened, already people were asking, hey man, can we franchise this? You know, so meaning that the people have actually the money to scale. So then we had to then take a conscious decision. Do we want to go that particular route of the franchising, which would have been by now, if we went that route, by now Cliff Cafe would have maybe 5 or 6 or even 8 branches or outlets, you know what I mean? So all in all, I'm just saying that you then have to then either, from a trade-off point of view, that you're either going to scale fast with that kind of model, or you're going to scale slow, but with your own funding, you know what I mean?
All right, thank you. I think you have answered Sugar Free's question. Can I ask Johnson? Yes, you have answered. There's been a thumbs up. Thank you. Can I ask Johnson to please answer the support question before we move on to our next question?
Yeah, you know, one of the interesting challenges as entrepreneurs is what type of support are you looking for and what vision do you have?
Yeah.
In my past years, I did a little bit of industrial psychology, and the teachings was one of the psychologists, Viktor Frankl, and they asked him how he survived from concentration camp. And he survived because his life have meaning. You know, once your life have meaning, you know why you are there. And again, it's difficult as well in the support, because my background, where I come from in the industry, I've worked with different coffee companies and working for one of the largest franchise group, where I was in charge of coffee in that particular franchise group. And I know like where to source equipment. That's the thing, building relationship and partnership, I think have assisted me, because unfortunately, as a small business, depending where you come from, some of the relatives or family, they cannot even afford your product, you know, to buy your product. And one of the challenges that I was facing was when I resigned from the company that I used to work for, the director says to me, "Are you sure you want to do this?" You know, I wanted to resign immediately. In fact, says, no, we'll give another 2-3 months because you're part of the asset of the business. I was the ambassador for one of the coffee brands. But yeah, in a family it's difficult, and because some will ask you, are you sure? Because you got a company car, you got medical aid, you know, you got corporate cars, petrol card, you got all the benefits from your company. What do you really want? You're gonna leave the job and you don't have any. I think you need to believe in yourself and believe in your purpose, what you want to achieve. And I believe in collaboration and partnership. And again, Proudly SA, honestly speaking, I remember when I was knocking at a Proudly SA, the summit, the events was happening, and I says, please, can I just set up a coffee station? I'll sponsor everyone. You know, I'm this type of person that I'll knock. You also show your face, and that's where you get more support. You know, able to, how do you launch your brand is very, very important. As long as you're there, it's yeah. But support, you get support from different businesses, from Proudly SA, and including other businesses that we built a relationship in the past.
Okay, thank you so much, Johnson. I'm not sure if Sheldon is still on the line, if he can answer that question for us. Okay, there's one more question that we have that I would like to read out. It's from Shibombi Baloy, and I think it's also maybe just for all the speakers, so anyone can answer this question is, how do you deal with your own self-sabotage? So Johnson, maybe because you're still with us now, how do you deal with your own self-sabotage? We've spoken about the support element of people may not believe in you, but you have to believe in yourself. But what happens when you start doubting yourself? Like you said, that your previous employer was like, are you sure you want to do this? Stay on for a little bit. How do you overcome that self-doubt and self-sabotage? And this question is also for all the speakers because the person who asked it did not say who it is for. So I think it's across the board.
The self-sabotage is not believing in yourself. We're coming from different townships or villages or whatever. I always look at the Maslow hierarchy, your social needs, physiological needs, safety and security. When you look at the Maslow hierarchy, you start realizing that most of us, we start in business with immediately when you start your business, tomorrow you're liquidated. That you need to understand that. When I say liquidated, already you're blacklisted. And we mustn't look at the past. Most of the time, we are so romantic with the past, and again, believe in yourself that you can do it. There are so many things that I cannot share that I went through, and I'm still standing. I think we need to stop being romantic with our past. I think that's one of the biggest challenge that we're facing as a small business. Believe in yourself, believe in your product, and listen to people. If you are big-headed, it's going to be a challenge because you don't want to listen to other people's advice.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Can I call on either Untombentle or Tswai to please answer that question on self-sabotage?
Okay, I'll go.
Thank you, Ntombentle.
The question on self-sabotage, I read something that resonated with me so much. Business or running a business, being an entrepreneur is like similar to being in a relationship. It's a spiritual journey. It will trigger in you all the insecurities you have. And so it also triggers in you opportunity for you to heal. So I strongly advise entrepreneurs, especially us female women entrepreneurs, to seek therapy and to invest not just in mental health, have a proper strong spiritual system, because you've got to know who you are, why you are here, why you are doing it, and it has to be really rooted in your inherent why. And I just love what also Johnson said around the Maslow hierarchy of needs. I always say we should flip that triangle on its head. Start with the self-actualization, work with your why, your purpose, and your spiritual being here. And then you won't procrastinate, you won't doubt yourself, and you won't be swayed by what other people try to tell you about you.
Love that. Thank you so much. Tswai, would you like to just rein in on that?
Oh, yes. Okay. We love the vicegerent, but we hate the vices. So self-sabotage can manifest itself in a variety of ways. One, remember, if you are the founder, you are the owner, you are the ultimate decision maker. So if decisions are driven or are inspired or they come from this sort of 7 angles, then you are doomed one way or another. One, if they're informed by pride. So there's this particular thing that if I'm the founder, then there's this danger that I might have this thing of it's my thing. Maybe I even know better, the strategic direction that it must take. But there's also this issue of greed, there's issues of anger, of desire. So all these vices could potentially, sabotage one in terms of if you are making decisions either from that, anger point of view, but this is also where we realize that there is truth in this statement that every hero needs a sage. So we benefit from a breed of this management consultants, this objective outsiders. So sometimes you need to also, because the people, if you are speaking about your staff, remember some of them are even scared to speak truth to power, because some of the things it could be career limiting. So you need somebody who would be an outsider, an objective outsider, who could be a sage of some sort. Because every Simba, okay. Hello, am I still there?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, you are.
Oh, yes.
We can hear you.
Oh, yes. So, yes, as I was wrapping up, I was saying that if you take the storyline of the Lion King, that every Simba needs a Rafiki. Because if Simba is left to his own devices, he is going to sabotage himself. So he needs a sage who will time and again, align Simba with his calling, so that then he does not offer him, so to speak. So yeah, all in all, I'm just saying to avoid the self-sabotage, besides the issue of self-doubt and so forth, somebody who can always say, cast a vote of confidence in you to say, hey man, you've got this, you know what I mean? If you enter into that, space where you start doubting yourself, and so you need that objective, outsider, that voice of reason, who then just remind you that, you didn't just get this far, yeah, there's a bigger picture to all of this. Yeah, I think that's my take.
Yeah. All right, thank you. I want to just, as we close, I don't think Sheldon is still with us on the line, but as we close, I'd like to give our three speakers an opportunity just to share any words of encouragement to those on the line. Similar question to what I had asked Sheldon earlier on is in terms of someone who has started the year, their business may be young in terms of number of years, or there's just something that is not going the way that they would have wanted to go. Just that encouragement of how do you stay on track? What can you do? We've spoken now about how you can get to that help, or what is it that you need to do so that you don't self-sabotage. But just in terms of the business and the brand, if the three speakers that we are still with now can just share that before we say our goodbyes, just a minute each, just to help someone who's sitting there who's like, I've heard everything you've said, but here's the final push. And Tswai, because you are still with us, we will start with you. And then we'll move to Johnson, and then we'll end off with Untombentle.
All right, no, thanks. Yeah, just final words of encouragement. I think it's very much important to just identify just that one thing that you that can earn you a gold medal. I think that's the phrase that they use. You just need that one thing that you can just be the best in. I think if you find that, then also make sure that when you build a business model around that one thing, that you bear in mind that simplicity is the highest form of sophistication. So just simplify. Life already it's hard, so you don't need to also to have a complex sort of so just simplify. So that's just my final word of advice.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Johnson, your words of encouragement?
Sure. I know it's difficult for entrepreneurs on this one. You need to have faith and believe in God. And what Sheldon was saying, amazing. You know, you need to have faith in Him, but you mustn't just have faith in Him. You need to visualize your dream, see your dream, do visualization technique, see your bigger picture, see your, you know, you need to, when you do visualization and you need to have faith in what your dream are, and you have to pray. You need to fast. You know, when you go for presentation, I fast and I pray, you know, for that pitch, because you don't know what is there. But I can share with them, pray and fast. Pray and fast. Pray, talk to God about things that you want to achieve in life. You cannot be an entrepreneur and go global without Him.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you for that, Johnson. Ntombenhle?
I'm not going to say anything different, like I said earlier, that entrepreneurship is a spiritual journey, and the only thing I would add for me is meditation, because meditation is when you hear God, and that is when you will get your marketing plan, your differentiator. If you're stuck and you're like, what are the words I should use for my branding logo, or what is the one product or ingredient I should use? If you meditate and you ask and you go to sleep, it will come in your dreams. There is nothing else that will make you stronger and prepare you for this entrepreneurial journey, and other than being spiritually strong. That is where I would put most of my effort.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to our speakers for sharing your journeys, your learnings. You know, we can always learn from people who've gone ahead from us, and also your words of encouragement. We really, really appreciate that. Thank you for your time also. You know, you are running businesses. It is Friday. It is probably very busy, but you've given us 2 hours of your time. We really, really appreciate that. I want to check, Alicia, do you still want to just finish off what you started, or you will leave it for the next webinar that you are doing before we say our goodbyes? Okay, I am not getting any feedback from Alicia, but as I said earlier, that we did get the gist of who Proudly South African is, what Proudly South African does, how you can join, and if there's any clarity that you need or any other questions that you have, visit the websites, visit the social pages, and maybe leave a question there if you still need some clarity. This webinar will be on Proudly South African's YouTube page if you happened to have joined late and you didn't get the beginning of it. Please do go on YouTube and check it out. There are many other webinars that talk to other topics which have an impact on our businesses, which can help us to scale, as we've seen how the guests and the speakers and their businesses have done over the years. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful Friday and a beautiful weekend. And we are praying and believing in your businesses. Goodbye.
Totsins, thank you so much.